All right, Reese, let's take a look at your paper. First thing, MLA format. You're missing your last name page number up here, so you want to add that to your paper. Everything here looks good. A depth too deep. First thing, no underline. Second thing, I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's a kind of an intriguing concept. I don't know if it fits quite with your theme, but maybe we'll get to that. So I don't know. I like it so far. We'll see what happens with it. So a lot of this is built around the idea of the enamoration with death, which is fine. I like the regretful and ominous tone to portray her pain and anger. So that's a good step. I don't know if that's the strongest, I don't know, first sentence or not. Could you be more specific? Could you use a specific image or something like that? I don't know. I would love to see another sentence here too to kind of build to this thesis statement. I think almost everyone else had 4 sentences at least in their introduction, so maybe add that in. Quick note though, you need to make sure that you put your comma inside the quote like that. So when you have a quote and a comma, just put it inside the quote there. So your thesis statement, she employs symbolism, diction, and repetition, which is fine, to depict her intense frustration towards others and her enamorment with death, enamoration with death, I'm not sure, as well as her desire to pursue it. So no comma here in this particular case. But everything that you have in here so far is just plot. And that thesis has to revolve around a message, a deeper symbolic message to it. Yes, this is what she's going to talk about, but what is the deeper meaning to it? And go back to maybe these tones to help drive where this is going to go. And as with most everyone else in your class, when you have a weak thesis statement, you also have a weak analysis section of your body paragraph. So we'll see if that's true for you. All right. Never, ever, ever use this as a basis for why somebody chooses to do something, because we want to find our true intentions behind writing the poem. It's got to be specific towards your poem. You can't just utilize that. It's got to be something more specific than that. So use a couple good instances of symbolism, but you only really talk about the napkin down here. You don't talk about the peanut crunching crowd or the opus. So I'm wondering if you can dive into that a little bit more and talk about the symbolism and maybe say, you know, peel off the napkin and then jump into the significance of that. Use the peanut crunching crowd and jump into the significance of that. I think that would work better. When you have something like this in the middle of a sentence, oftentimes you put brackets around that and make it a lowercase t as an indication to the reader that this is a different letter or word, if you put around a whole word, than what is intended in the meaning, so, or intended in the original. So you could do that as a form of to fix it. So you get into the symbolizes the uncovering of a dead body, which in this case is hers. She was convinced that no one would truly miss her as they don't appreciate her. Where do you get that from? What example did you get that from what you gave? Now, this is the misuse of a semicolon. This should be a comma instead. So Sylvia Plath says, no man desired her the way she longed for them, so she felt she was bound to eat men like air. And again, you got to put that comma inside, meaning that she would go through men her whole life but never find one who would stay with her. Which isn't bad. Again, I don't know if it's quite diving into meaning yet. Again, too, with the symbolizing help clarify the author's reason for writing the poem, we don't want to put statements like that. The word choice helps the reader understand the passion for which you wrote the topic. Okay. I like that you went with passion. That's a good starting point, but that's not why she wrote it, or why she uses it. She uses diction to exemplify the passion at something. It's got to be specific. Now, you get to this paragraph and say she uses it to enforce the regretful and ominous tone. Well, all of the things she's doing is supposed to do this. We talked about this in class, actually. The idea that the tones are going to be built into your examples as well, because that's what you're saying the tones are. So those are going to constantly be built in there. So you don't need to use this as a beginning part of a topic sentence. That should come through in your examples. All right, so really good examples in here for diction: sour, annihilated, blood, ash, beware. I really like those examples. You're embedding of those in here. Be careful. A lot of people had a problem with this as far as spacing. Be careful with how many spaces you have in a piece, or in between words, or after, or whatever. So negative connotations such as Other words with typical connotations, comma, such as is what you want there, such as blood, ash, and beware, are used to set the ominous tone. It's got to be deeper than that. It can't be just, oh, these make it ominous. Okay, that can't be where it stops. On top of setting the tone, she chose these words in order to show the reader complete hatred of men. How? No comma here. So how does she use words like blood, ash, and beware to show her complete hatred of men? And that's where you go back into the example and build off of it. So she uses blood to show this and how this relates to her hatred of men. So you have to go back into these examples to actually use them in your reading. So it's a pretty intense I use right there. Okay. Pretty intense process to try to get to that because you're going to have to build a statement and a reason for that. So you have another transition, but the use of repetition is really what her passions may cause her to do. So I'm getting a feeling that your main points are her frustration, her enamoration with decibels, her desire to pursue it. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that really fits yet, but this is definitely her desire to pursue it, which is what I think you're getting at in this sentence, which is not what your thesis should be. Your thesis should be one unifying message that you're going to talk about the whole paper. All right, so may do because of her deeper depression. I still don't know if that's where you want to go. I think you can be more specific with that. That her repetition emphasizes the emotional turmoil she's experiencing while contemplating the thought of ending her life or whatever. Maybe word it just a little bit differently. As Plath writes about falling in love, comma, she states, this is a really good example, she's also alluding to self-harm, no comma, and possibly suicide. She later states, beware, beware. Now, when you're repeating a phrase, you don't necessarily have to quote it for the test. And basically you just say, as she later restates, beware, and then you wouldn't have any citation to further reiterate the ominous reality. Because that's just a weird citation. I mean, you need a space right there anyway. But that's just a weird citation. So you can just say, she later states, beware, in quotes, to further reiterate the ominous reality that will be her death. Again, you're only talking in plot. It draws the reader in. That's not a good reason for an author using that device. Perhaps because she wanted to. You can never use the word perhaps in an analysis piece because that means you're grasping at straws. Maybe she's doing it because of this, but you don't want to do that. All right, so she's able to use those three factors. Remember, we have a repetition of the thesis statement, which is fine, which you can probably eliminate that underline right there. And then you need to restate your main points. So you need to go through your main points and summarize them again, sentence per summary or something like that. No comma here, no comma here. Make sure there are complete thoughts on either side of that. So fix that as well. Again, perhaps I'd like to eliminate that and have something a little bit stronger there. All right, we're excited. Everything looks good except this is not not in Times New Roman. You don't need that space right there. Sylvia Plath is not the author of the website, so you don't need her name first. But other than that, it's fine. So go back, Reese, and really look at adding in more deeper thoughts to this, having a stronger thesis statement overall, and hopefully we'll see a rewrite out of you.